All right, guys, we're back with another episode of the Equestrian Adult Amateur.
We're so excited to be here and to be talking to you guys. Today is going to be a good episode. We are talking about the hottest topic. Why are adult amateurs perceived as such pains in the ass? Asses?
Yeah. Why do adult amateurs get such a bad rap?
Why?
I mean, like, come on, let's be real. I know why.
I'm perfect. I'm just kidding.
Well, so much of this show, we talk so much about, just talk about the modernization of the sport.
Yeah.
The jingle is still going, by the way.
Turn off.
We're not even we're so anxious to talk about this that we're getting straight into it.
We're way ahead of the jingle.
We're way ahead of the jingle. We are so anxious to talk about this and ready to talk about it because
we're tired of being talked about, okay, as being such problems. Yeah, we're perfect.
This is going to come down to trainers, boarding, relationships in the equestrian space,
horse showing, anxiety, friendships,
money.
Need it.
So let's just dive right in.
Okay.
Where do we even begin with this one? You know what? I know where to start. I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Let's talk about how much time is appropriate for an amateur to dedicate to the sport. So
is it are you asking me or are you asking my husband?
Yeah, right.
It depends.
Yeah. And I think, are you asking the trainer?
Yeah.
Because trainers are
every minute.
Every day.
Every minute of every day.
You shouldn't be working. You should be riding, but you should also have money to pay for it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's kind of the, now every call.
Just answer it.
Okay, hold on. Hello? Okay. Yeah, perfect. I will call my husband and he'll move it for you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Guys, they're there to pick up my dumpster.
You have a dumpster?
Yes.
For your shit? For your manure?
Having a dumpster.
Is it a manure
No.
dumpster?
No.
Oh. He's not going to answer.
Do you think he's going to answer?
He has to.
Hey.
You got to move the truck, bro.
The guys are there to pick up the dumpster. Would you mind moving the truck?
Sure.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye. Husbands are so great. No, I love mine. He's the best. Okay, as I was saying.
What were you saying?
I was saying how much time
Oh, yeah.
is an appropriate amount of time to dedicate to the sport as a working adult amateur. This is to everyone.
This is to the audience.
To the audience, because this is such a debatable and high value conversation.
Yeah.
Because it depends on who you talk to, right?
It depends on who you talk to. It depends. You know what's crazy is that some amateurs literally don't even live in the same state as their horse.
I know.
And that they go and they show and they qualify and they go to Devon and they go to, you know, insane.
Yeah, that's insane.
They go to indoors, all this stuff, and they don't even live in the same state as their horse. And I'm over here living 15 minutes away from mine, and I'm like, oh, it's so hard to get to the barn. Okay? Is it just me? Do I have problems?
Am I the problem?
I am the problem.
Well, so I feel my horses live in my yard. They literally live, I wake up every morning, I look out my window, and I see my barn. It's 30 yards away from me when I'm sleeping. And I still struggle.
It's hard, right? So they say time is money, but then money is time. So especially right now, we're getting into the nitty gritty of training my 5-year-old now, and it's okay, we got to get him going. It's time, and it's okay, well, you need to ride him consistently for him to be learn things, and I'm okay, so then I don't make any money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then if you're going to work all the time, then you need to just pay for him to get ridden.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, either I need to be there riding him or I need enough money to to have somebody else ride him. So it's like, I'm either going to be there and make less money, or I'm going to go to work and have more money, but then not ride.
Yeah.
And have to pay someone else to.
This conversation, I think that any professional that we have on this show, we have got to talk to them about this, because like it has to just be like a blanket statement. If you're coming on the show, we're going to talk about this, because I would love to get everyone's perspective, because I know that like as a professional, like in the world, and owning a business, like your expectation is that for my clients, like if you're not going to put the work in, you're not going to get the benefits, right? So I understand the struggle. That could be said for literally anything, right?
Yeah.
Like at your job, if you don't put the work in and you get demoted, you know, you kind of asked for that, right? So I think sometimes as a working adult amateur, we love the horses, and sometimes the effort of like getting out there and riding, and some amateurs are like super dedicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that.
I mean, when I was a junior, I was like, oh, I'm sick. I'm going to go to the barn anyways, but I'm not going to go to school. Yeah. Now I'm like, no.
Yeah. I'm like,
the weather's a little iffy. I may not.
The weather's kind of like, it's like kind of windy and a little cold.
Yeah.
And so like, I just don't want to.
It's 70 degrees, but like, it's like kind of windy and they might spook, or it's just like, it's I don't feel the vibe. Like I wake up and I'm like, oh, my one muscle hurts. I'm just going to
100%. And you know, it's so crazy to me that, I mean, and I'm sure it's frustrating for trainers. Like I know it is for sure,
because we complain.
Like, but then we come out sometimes and we're like, you and I do this all the time. We're like, no, we're going to do a joint notes app, and we're going to like get on a training regimen, and we're going to get on a schedule.
I made a calendar.
Yeah.
Like 2 days ago. Yeah.
Like we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I love those moments for us, because in the moment I feel really dedicated, and I'm like 100%, like we're going to like do this. It's going to be amazing. But then you go to work and life,
it like resets.
It's like
amnesia.
Like immediate reset. And then you have to like do it all over again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's a little frustrating for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. Like for us, and we're like, man, like we were really hyped about that. And then now it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is a hobby for us.
It's a hobby and a sport, but it's a hobby.
It's a lifestyle.
You're like way more into show. Like I was saying this to like my mom the other day. I was like, Kelly's like way more into showing than I am. Like I got to do it when I was a kid, and I really did the junior thing hard. And now I'm like, you know, like, yeah, I have a young horse I'm developing. I'm developing him. I really like him. I want him to be successful. I want him to be a show horse. But also at the same time, I'm like, oh God, like, do I really like want to do that? And so for you, I'm just gonna like blame it all on you. Like you want to show, like you need to be out there doing it. But I you know, I want him to show and him to do it. And like I'm gonna be like the supportive amateur watching my trainer do it.
Okay. Well, to call me out, I'm gonna call you out as well, because we just had the conversation of how he looked the other day, and it's the winter, right?
Yeah, and it's snowstormed like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, right. But
it's a whole month, basically.
Yeah. And so I think it's like, we want all of the benefits of our horses looking nice and going well and doing it, but then we don't want to pay for it. Like paying for it also sucks.
Yeah.
It like really is unfortunate.
So was this episode like literally confirming that we're crazy?
No, I think it's just a relatability episode, because I really do want to get into, because we were talking, I saw on social media, a fellow podcaster was talking about boarding. And boarding, you and I have had so much experience in this realm.
Yes.
So, and the argument was that, you know, adult amateurs come into the barn and they board their horses, and they get really finicky about what the horse gets, and
how many flakes of hay, where they go out, whatever,
who they go out with, like how long they go out, like, you know, all of those things. Like we have been terrible clients. I can soundly say that.
Confirm.
And so I also understand, you know, that you are paying someone for a service, and that's like the beauty of not having
the horses at your house.
Yeah, is that you have to hand over the responsibility and hand over the rights to your horse's care to somebody else. And I think as adult amateurs, that can be really hard. And I think sometimes the only times for me when the flip switched is when there started to be a problem. When
the switch flipped.
Whatever.
I got stuck on that.
When the flip switch.
I like stopped listening to anything else.
Yeah. So is when there started to be a problem, whether your horse gets sick, he colics, his feet are bad, like when inevitably it happens, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is where the neuroses really comes out, is because if everything is like peachy keen and great, there's no, like, there are amateurs that I've seen at boarding places that their horses are fine, easy keepers, great feet, like, they get along with everyone, and, like, everything is great.
They're good clients.
Have I owned a horse like that?
No, of course not.
No. My horse's feet are falling off, you know, they're getting sick, they're doing all these things that are, like, really high maintenance things, and so when you're the one that is having to pay for all of these things, whether their shoes are, you know, like we've dealt with so many feet issues. Yeah. You know, so if you're the ones you're the people that are paying for the horse to live and to board and to get their feet done, the vet bills, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to become a little neurotic.
Yeah.
Because you're busting your ass at work to pay for all this. Yeah. And if there's something that you could help and be preventative, you're going to do it. So that's the tipping point. And now that's not to say that the trainers or the, you know, barn managers or whatever have really necessarily any control over that. You know, it could just be the animal.
Yeah, it's truly the animal.
Yeah.
They're either high maintenance or they're low maintenance.
Right.
You know?
So I think, again, like we've talked about so much on the show, is just open communication and talking about how important that is.
Yeah.
But I think notoriously trainers are not, and barn managers are not very great at that. And so sometimes I think that they take things like super, like it's a personal attack.
Yeah.
It's not a personal attack, right? Like it's not a personal attack. We're just trying to settle our own nerves, and we're trying to figure out like how we're going to be able to pay for all this, how we're going to make this better.
And it's also emotional. It's like it's like a part of your family.
100%.
You know, like you're like, oh, he doesn't look the way I thought he was going to look, or oh, do I see a rib and didn't used to? Like, it is not the barn owner's fault by any means. Like, they are a barn owner. They manage how they can, as best as they can. Ultimately, they're animals and they do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
But it's mitigating that kind of the issues. And then as an amateur, you're like, oh my God, I worked so hard for this. And like, you know, I'm putting in the effort and I'm putting in the money and I'm going to work, and then it's like you go to the barn and it's supposed to be your release and your happy place, and then you show up and you're like, there's a rib, I can see his ribs, he's getting thin, and you're just like immediately like you're the part of your brain that can work for good goes to work to evil.
100%.
And you just like act only in anxiety and emotion.
Yeah.
And that's where like I think sometimes probably trainers are like, either they're just tired of us and they can't hear it,
right?
Or they can't put themselves in our shoes because that's like the role that they've always been in as a trainer and as a barn owner or manager. Like you kind of like, no matter what you do in your job, and you were saying this yesterday, is like when you see enough throughout the years, you kind of become a little numb to the empathy on the other side. That happens with any job in any career.
Absolutely.
But I think that kind of gives us a bad rap too, because trainers and owners and barn owners and managers are kind of in that, like they've been doing it for 25, 30 years and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't have the empathy piece anymore.
And I also, the conversation of, and this was like, and I didn't know if I wanted to talk about this because I feel like I have such a differing opinion about it, is, you know, the trainer's role in the adult amateurs experience in the sport. And where people were talking about that the trainer's really an entertainer for an adult amateur, and that they're not clients, they are students. And so how, you know, that conversation gets talked about of.
What do you mean by entertainer?
That really the trainers are just there to like entertain you. That this is like a concept, or some trainers adopt to this concept that, you know, they're really just there to entertain you, to placate to your wanting to be a horse girl. Where really you're just there to like come and like be with your friends, socialize, like, you know, and not be serious about the sport.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many people on that spectrum. Like, I think, you know, and adult amateurs make up the sport, truly.
Yeah.
But there's so many different levels to that. And I think that if you are the adult amateur, that this is your social life and that is like, you know,
it's your fun.
It's your fun. I think that that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that there's the right trainer for that. If you're somebody that really wants to do the AOs and like show and compete and be serious, there's another trainer for that. So I think that you just have to, again, talking about that conversation of like having that conversation with yourself of who you are going, you know,
what you're looking for,
and what you're trying to get out of it and who you should be riding with.
Yeah.
Because I think if it's not, it's just like dating, you know, if it's not a good match, you know, there's going to be resentment between all people.
Yeah. And
then
you're going to get coined immediately as like the amateur who's, you know, too much or whatever.
Yeah. High maintenance or, you know.
That's what I like a lot about Leslie Seegers is she runs a fully amateur program and she's like, I'm going to teach my amateurs and they're going to come out and they're going to have fun and it's going to be a no pressure environment. And, you know, I think it takes a special person to have a barn full of amateurs.
Yeah. And I think that, in my opinion, majority of amateurs do take the sport seriously.
Yeah.
And I think a very small amount are, you know, really just coming for like socialization. They're definitely out there. I think it's a smaller portion. But I feel like because the threshold is so large in terms of how much money we're spending, I just feel like if we're going to spend the money, we're going to take it serious, you know, at least that's how I feel about it. But, you know, I do understand why amateurs get such a bad rap, and I do understand like from a professional or a trainer perspective, but at the same time, like
I can't fix my mental health issues at this point in life.
Yeah. And it's also like, you signed up for this, you know, like if your expectation was that you were going to get clients that were just going to be
stroke a check and
be really competitive and be really good riders and like align with you perfectly. Like if you thought every client was going to be like that, you're delusional.
Yeah.
You know?
I just don't think
it's not realistic, but that again could be said about across any profession and any service provider industry. It's not just the equestrian world.
Yeah.
So
to be clear, I think juniors also experience issues, but it's usually the parent. It's like it's the parents.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the parents, I think any adult, whether you're supporting a junior who's riding or you're an adult who's an actual owner rider, I think it all like there's always going to be butting heads when there's somebody paying for something and then having an emotional attachment to it.
Absolutely. Yes, there's a train that comes through here.
Very loud.
Very loud.
But
But I just, it is like, it's so, I think it's honestly comical how, you know, amateurs get such a bad rap. And that's why I think it's so funny and why I create so much content around it, because it's just like, it's just this.
It deserves to be comedic sometimes rather than being so serious.
Yeah.
And like, I know a lot of people like probably view your videos as like, oh, like, that's so like stereotypical. Yeah, this is what's wrong with the sport or whatever. But like we're making fun of ourselves because we all know that, like, don't lie, every single one of us has been in that situation where we are her skit where it's too cold to ride, or like, you know, oh my God, there's that pole on the jump, I just can't jump it. It looks scary. Like we've all been there. Oh my 100%. God, my horse is like too thin. I'm going to freak out and buy my own alfalfa and bring it to the bar. Like we've literally been every single one of those skits. Like some point in our life, we've been that person. And that's like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
That is what we do. Like there is neuroses in this sport. If you are in the sport of horses, period, no matter what discipline, you ain't right.
You ain't right.
You ain't right. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It takes, I feel like a lot of trainers are probably like, should have been therapists if they were in a different life. They're probably therapists, but
Well, yeah, and I had a conversation recently with a wonderful human being who is a part of Horse Spot. Her name is Lindsay Leonard, who we met down at WEF, and she was saying that for the Inside the In-Gate education tour that we're doing in April, she thought it would be a really great idea to do like a breakout session where she comes and talks about equestrian jobs.
Yeah.
You know, and
there's apparently a ton.
Yeah, and the fact that when we were growing up, the only options were that you either are a horse trainer or a professional, you know, and or a barn owner or whatever. And, you know, there's so many other options that you could do to work with horses and not be one of those people. But I think trainers sometimes also felt that that was their only option to like really work with horses is to be a trainer. So I don't think every trainer is fit to be a trainer either. I think that maybe they would be better off doing something if you want to be in the horse world, do something
around horses,
around horses, do something different.
Yeah.
Because the thought of, you know, I just feel like trainers that consistently complain about their clients and you know, criticize the adult amateur all the time. It's like, why are you doing this then?
Yeah.
Like, who is your ideal client? Like, who are you trying to appease and please? You know, I mean,
like a yes man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but
humans are not perfect.
No,
in the truest sense. So I think knowing that you're going to work at a people facing job, where your job is animals that are unpredictable and humans that are highly emotional, you got to know, you know, there's going to be frustrations. And I think a lot of trainers probably at one point in their life could handle it.
Yeah.
I don't think they started off their career being like,
for sure, you
know, oh, well, you know, these adults are terrible and I'm so frustrated. I think they started very positive people, and maybe we broke them down over time.
Absolutely. And that's fair. And I think that happens in every industry. You know, you look at so many other industries and I remember, this is a crazy story. When I graduated college and I went and I worked at this photography studio with this photographer, and I was so excited, fresh out of college with my art degree, all the things. And he was like, I just remember he was sitting at the computer and he was editing photos, and I was just like, you know what? If you never got paid to take any more photos in your life, like, what would you take photos of? And he said, I wouldn't. And I was like, and like, as a young like person that just came out of school, I was like, I went home and told my mom about it. I was like, oh my God, can you believe like what a grouchy, like, you know, who would hire someone like that? Because he has no passion. He has no, you know, and it's so funny to look at that moment now as a older person and to say like, I actually totally get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally understand.
There becomes a point in time when you're doing it like, you're excited, you're in it, this is your passion, and then it becomes, okay, I'm doing this because I need the money, and then, okay, like, what gets me up out of bed every day? And like, is it and then you're coming and dealing with amateurs that are kind of like a little nutty.
Yeah.
Certainly at some point you're going to be like, okay, this is no longer fun.
Yeah. And then like so many of you guys have reached out to us about like the conflicts that you guys have like in barn. Like
what?
Like, you know,
I just can't remember any.
There was one that, and I've had this happen, you know, we've all had something like this happen.
Yeah.
Where someone at the barn was chastising this person because their trainer was riding their horse better than the owner was.
Yeah, well, duh.
And like, I just, you know, but it made me laugh so much because I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, like this is just the epitome of being an amateur and being in a barn with amateurs. And it's like you have these like weird competitive like energies and vibes. And
it's so like we're still kids.
Yeah.
Deep down, we're still kids. Like we have emotional maturity, but we also don't.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild. And so I just think it's so hysterical that, and again, talking about like making it comical and making it relatable, it's like we all go through stuff like that. And I think that it makes for really interesting content, obviously.
Yeah.
But it makes for keeping the sport interesting, but it also causes a lot of stress. I mean, we've all been in those situations where we've had arguments with people in the barn and they're really, not getting along, and it's
Yeah.
stressful, and it's.
I mean, imagine being a trainer in a barn full of adult amateurs. Like, you and I create our own havoc together. So I can't imagine, like, a lot of them. I think we have there are a lot of positives to having a barn full of adult amateurs. We make our own money. We can, we can try hard if we want to. We cannot if we don't want to.
Yeah.
And, as a trainer, you have to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel that, like,
yeah,
we're not. And maybe I just, like, switched topics in my head, but, like, maybe trainers have and enjoy a lot of adult amateurs at the end of their career because, like, maybe we can't be as competitive, and we maybe not all of us, but like there's a population of us that, like, because we work, because we have families, like all that stuff, like, we're not necessarily showing, like, out of the state and kind of traveling as much. So maybe we're, like, settling into, like, a different kind of area for them. And they like that because they're not having to travel as much. They're not doing the junior thing anymore. But then at the same time, they're like, ugh, I've been doing this for so long. Now these amateurs are, like, pissing me off.
Yeah.
So I think there's, like, a little bit of that going on,
Absolutely, for sure. And I just think, it's just, I love being an amateur. I think it's, like, the coolest club. Like, I think it really is. Like, I think it's just so much fun. And because, again, we've talked about before that, like, expectations of amateurs and, like, really what is the expectation.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, like, such a large spectrum. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that it's just, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it's no problem. It's no problem. I was just
like,
I was like reminiscing in my head while you were wandering that that we got in trouble, like, most recently for quote unquote comparing ourselves and our horses. And I was like, I don't compare my horse to her horse. My horse is amazing. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I'm like, I don't compare because they're different animals, but, like, at the same time, I could see how it looks like that. But, like, we just shoot the shit and talk about our horses all the time. And, like, being that you're my best friend, I have wants and needs for you, just like you want me to have things for me to make me happy. Like, I see that you want X, Y, and Z, and I want that to happen for you. So of course I'm going to insert my opinion,
100%,
whether I'm right or wrong.
Yeah,
I'm going to insert my opinion, but that's part of being my friend.
That is absolutely 1000% normal.
Yeah.
And I don't think that
it's not comparing or, like, trying to be the trainer. I'm just your best friend, and I'm going to say whatever crazy thing comes to my head.
Absolutely.
And that's just what it is.
And I think that, like, you learn from your own experiences, right? And I think that you have learned from your experiences, and you would advise me.
Yeah.
And vice versa, right? So that's what the beauty of having relationships inside this world.
Yeah.
And so the thought of talking about that or communicating that is, like, a bad thing or, like, a negative, I think is stupid.
Yeah, but I think some trainers probably are like, okay, like, why are they going to their friends for advice rather than just, like, coming to me and listening to me? But I just think, like, humans don't work like that.
It doesn't work that way.
Humans just, they need talk therapy, and whoever, like, a lot of anxiety is quelled by talking.
100%.
And that's what we do. We just talk, and I give you advice, and you're like, okay, I'll take that into advisement, or I won't, or whatever. And trainers are like, don't listen to your friend. Like, stop talking, stop comparing, stop blah, blah, blah. Like, your experience is not her experience, so don't take advice from her or whatever. But it's just, like, at the same time, like, we're going to do it because it's just daily therapy or
100%.
whatever.
100%. And I think that's completely unrealistic to not do that. And I also think that if I know for sure that the advice that you have given me has benefited me so much.
Yeah,
so, like,
absolutely.
why would I not take advice from somebody that has like very similar lived experiences?
Yeah.
And probably, like, knows if you're giving me advice, you're doing it out of good intent.
I'm not a professional, and I'm fully aware of that. And I know any advice that I give you, and I know that you know that any advice that I give you is not professional advice.
Yeah.
Like, you're smart. You're going to be like, okay, whatever. I hear you. It's just like your mother-in-law telling you to do X, Y, and Z when you know that you're going to do it the other way. It's
absolutely.
Sometimes I just got to say it. Like, Kelly will be like, oh, what do you think about if I do this crazy thing? And I'm like, okay, like, I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So you know, you just know I'm going to give her advice because if I'm a bad friend if I don't give her advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, and again, you guys, like, I know my camera just turned off.
I know.
She died.
I was like,
no.
keep going.
So I think that as a friend, no matter what, whether you're going like dating advice, husband advice, life advice,
you may get advice, but it doesn't mean you're going to take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that like it's important to kind of get those, like, how many times have we had conversations where we both have said things and then that's where it stops, you know, like we're like, oh yeah, like, you know, we're gonna, you know, exactly like our training stuff, you know, like we're like, yeah, we're gonna do this like training regimen. We're gonna do it together.
Make a calendar and like hold each other accountable. And then
we're like, oh yeah, that ended up not happening.
Yeah.
You know,
like, oh, what happened to that? I don't know.
Yeah. And so like things like that are just gonna happen. And then there are things that are really like, you know, especially like all this stuff with Ollie, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, talking about Ollie, like it's just been such a point of conversation and you know it's been stressful for me.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of keeps coming up in conversation. And so I think that naturally you're just gonna talk about it and you're gonna give advice and you're gonna say, not only are you going to give advice, which I think this is so important when you have friends that are amateurs, not only are you going to give the best advice for like the situation overall, like horse and amateur, but you're going to give it the best advice for your friend. Like,
cause you understand, cause you're in their shoes.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I can't think of something specific, but it's like, I'm an amateur and like, let's just say like you're fearful of, you know, jumping an oxer cause your horse stops at oxers. I'm going to say like, I'm going to give you advice based on that experience because I have also been in that situation where I've been afraid of the same thing. And like, this is how I overcame it. Whereas a trainer would be like, their advice would be totally different because they're seeing it from a different perspective.
100%. And I think that is like really important. And maybe like the advice that you would give me versus like another amateur is going to be completely different because you know me and you know like, okay, this may not be best for the horse, but this is going to be best for her because I know her and I know that she's going to either not be able to mentally handle this or she is going to be able to overcome this, like either way. So I think that's like when you are friends with somebody that does, you know, the hobby or the lifestyle or the sport that you do, the advice carries because they understand where you're coming from.
I also think that I can tell you something maybe in a little bit, like you can definitely say something a little bit harsher to me than I think a trainer would be. Not to say that you're mean or anything, but like you can be like, Alexis, like you're just not listening to me and you're just not listening to what people are saying to you or like this is a bad idea and your trainer is like afraid to tell you because you're like you just ignore them or you know you're just more like getting it from a friend in a more like direct manner that you can, and you know that they're your friend and you can take it or leave the advice or whatever because they're your friend versus like a trainer who's, I mean, like you're paying them to agree with you sometimes.
Yeah, the money.
I'm not getting paid to agree with you.
Exactly. I think the transactional, like no matter what, when you are paying someone to do anything, there is always going to be a voice in the back of your head saying, how much can I take this advice for what it's worth? Because do they have another motive? Are they like pushing me to do something because they're going to make more money? Like you always have to, like, you're always going to have that in the back of your head. Like, I think that is just normal, natural, like, and so getting advice from somebody that doesn't have that,
you're not paying them to give you advice. You know,
it's like completely different. So I think, again, just going back to the fact of like, it's unrealistic to not expect your amateurs to, you know, and I'm sure trainers get annoyed about it and I understand, but at the same time, it's a completely unrealistic expectation for you to not do that because if there's anything, you know, at least it's a soundboard and it's at least, and we're not calling the trainer to be like, we'll sit here and talk to me for an hour.
Exactly. And that would be inappropriate. That would be inappropriate in a whole other way of being like crossing boundaries of like respecting a trainer's time and kind of like I go to my anxieties and stuff with Kelly because honestly, nobody else gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to listen.
Yeah.
Nobody else wants to hear this. Like, my mom's tired of hearing it. My husband definitely doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And my trainer for sure doesn't want me to talk about, like, I literally send photos, like
So
5 photos yesterday and being like, okay, what do you think about his butt muscle here? And like, what do you think about this?
This is him in October, November,
Yes,
December.
every month I'm sending her a picture. Like, not one other person is going to put up with me, but she's going to tell me, like, you're being crazy. It's fine. You're not being crazy. I see what you see. Like,
Whatever.
nobody's going to do that except for your friend. And what does that mean?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, anyways, like, that's just moral of the story is it's okay to be crazy a little bit with your friends because they're going through it with you. They know what you're experiencing. They've been there before, and like, you're not paying them to be nice to you.
Yeah. And if you out of this episode didn't get that why amateurs get such a bad rap, then
all the above.
All the above.
All the above. But you know what? Everybody gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
Amateurs just get one because I don't know, man.
Variety of reasons.
So many reasons. But
will you guys tell us what you think? Let us know. We always love to hear from you guys.
Tell us your amateur moments.
Yeah.
That make you.
Yeah. And make sure to share and tag us with your bestie, your amateur bestie.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys here next week. Same time, same place.
Adios.
Bye.